Hello everyone, Planet 3 supporters, members, or those just curious. Let me introduce our initiative. The Alliance for the Humans of the Third Planet, that is, our beautiful planet Earth, is above all a grassroots movement aimed at uniting the world's population around shared values and a common goal. This goal is to enable all humans to live in peace. We believe that living in peace is the essential prerequisite for living in good health and in harmony with our environment. It is therefore also a prerequisite for emancipation and the successful completion of any personal project. Unfortunately, this goal remains distant because the egocentric, supremacist, expansionist, or survivalist delusions of certain leaders are at their peak. At a time when the top priority should be preserving the planet so that it remains pleasantly habitable for all, divisions are exacerbated by leaders who rely on fear or authoritarianism to control the population. This is done to the detriment of the survival of our own species, with a very selfish and therefore very short-term vision. We have entered a post-reality world that is, quite simply, a world where facts no longer really matter. It is a world that belongs to the most violent and the strongest. Before discussing the future in our project, let us first take a factual look at the current situation.
In France, for example, the Minister of Education is defending herself against a climate situation that requires school closures, publicly asking, like the President of the Republic before her, who could have predicted climate change? This is absurd, and it's insulting to the population. Climate change has been known and documented for over 50 years. We know its causes and its main consequences. Measurements demonstrating the impact of humankind on climate change exist. There can be no doubt about it. The President of the United States knows this very well too. But it doesn't matter to him the devastation of the deep seabed, or the fact that the consequences of fossil fuel exploitation as a whole compromise the habitability of the planet. Colossal economic interests are at stake. This same President of the United States created his own cryptocurrency, using his position as president to personally enrich himself by billions of dollars. He prosecutes magistrates, orders mass deportations of citizens who have been on American soil for decades, sometimes to countries they don't even know. He arrests journalists and elected officials, from his own political party or not, simply for asking questions that bother him. But the list is too long to list here.
It is also important to recognize the ongoing identity and isolationist crisis. More and more governments are far-right, playing on the fear of others to gain or remain in power, and to exert ever greater control over the population. Countries like Hungary, the United States of America, France, Italy, Germany, Israel, Argentina, and surely many others are in the hands of fascist leaders or have fully integrated them into their governments. Let's take Hungary and France as examples, which allow far-right demonstrations with their openly fascist symbols, and prohibit peaceful demonstrations in support of human rights or in support of the Palestinian people exterminated under the complicit eyes of the international community.
Among the most shameful recent events on a global scale is, of course, the genocide of the Palestinian people by Israel. Let us remember that the State of Israel is largely funded by the United States of America, between $3 and $4 billion per year, and by other nations as well, depending on current trade agreements. Israel uses this aid to develop highly sophisticated surveillance technology and weapons, purchase American military equipment, and subsidize the expansion of its settlements in Palestinian territory, and of course to massacre the Palestinian people, who have neither a recognized state nor an army to defend themselves. With these trade agreements and technological developments, Israel has become untouchable. It even has a license to kill massively civilians, and few states complain. The loss of morality in the old continent and the West in general, which almost entirely supports the widely documented genocide of the Palestinian people, shows that the time for change is more necessary than ever.
Current leaders are guided by economic or strategic interests that no longer have any connection with morality or even the well-being of their own populations. and there is no charismatic leader to restore global balance. Beyond autocrats and other populists, the world is also manipulated by other groups in a more discreet but equally powerful manner. Media groups that create presidents, as in France and elsewhere, religious, financial, or ideological groups. The purpose of the Humans for Planet 3 Alliance is that only the people can restore order. A healthy, global order, based on the principle of peace and a sharing of wealth that humiliates no one. The Humans for Planet 3 Alliance aims to remind the world that all is not lost, and that anything is even possible by remaining united in the face of opposing forces. It implies respect for every individual, regardless of their religion, gender, or ethnic origin. It also implies taking action when the time comes to defend these principles.
We are a fraternal community. We are building a better world.